Today we kick off the Scrappy Quilt Along with my buddy Wendy's book. Hi my friend, I'm Pat Sloan. Before we get into this, I want to show you sort of a spin around of what I was doing, and you can see the design wall is empty, empty, empty. I'm going to put up the blocks from this week on there so I can film, well, I'll photograph them afterwards. Anyway, but I want to take you through, show you some things that I did, so let's go. I've been sitting here with the projects for several days. So this I'm filming right after I did last Wednesday's video, and I realized actually that morning that I really wasn't motivated to work on these. I was going to start a new project, but instead I got into the UFOs and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll work on finishing that. Maybe I'll work on finishing this. And now I'm like, this is not what I want to focus on. I'm not. I mean, I've been sitting here like for a week with these things and done nothing more. Got like one little frenzy. This is so close. I will do that. I will do that. And I think for these, for the jars, which I have mushrooms, I will cut all of the corners and get these units and this unit so that I can make the actual jars as I sew other things. And this project, which those blocks go to this project, I will pack back away. Now over here, I do need to go through my state fabrics, working on those. There's a lot to weed through to pick out which pieces I want to use for each state, and so I really need to sort of get that started at some point. And of course I had to start a new cross stitch because I started this one because I finished this guy. So this little sled I finished. I'm so excited. I will show you some fabrics for border. But I went ahead and got the Year of the Horse done. I don't think I'm going to put 2026 because it kind of limits how I use it in my brain. So I think I will either, well, I've already done this part here, but what I might do is just do a little vine or take these like leaves. Maybe I'll do something like another word in here. I'll draft something and do a different word. Or I can just unpick some of this if I want to have it more like just come to a little arch like that. All right, for the sled, I have to pick a fabric to make a little border. So this one is nice. Like the border will probably be something about that size. So I can just crease this and get a feel. Okay, so the navy, this is nice because it has red in it as well. I wasn't sure I actually wanted to do navy though, because this is going to be like for right now, hanging for right now. Which of course, there's another navy. But if I did navy, I would not do this one. It is much too dense. It is too dark. So, now I do have the later ones. And this is nice, except that it has these small pieces trying to get this directional where it's patterned and it's really obvious of the pattern. The smaller the piece, the more particular you have to be, so that's a no. I don't need that. Now this one is very pretty. One of my fabric lines, I really like that shade. It's the lighter and the lighter here. Okay, so we'll put this on the potential. When I had this one out earlier, I knew immediately it's the wrong shade of blue. But I wanted to show it to you because it's, you know, a similar style would work for the style, but it's the wrong shade of blue. So that'll go up there. Now here's another one that is random, you know, so the randomness is good. It also has the dark dots, which I really like that part of it. The blue is okay. This is what I think most people would call like periwinkle blue. So it's got a little bit purpley to undertones. It's okay. It's okay. I think the other two are better options. One of these two. So you can tell me in the comments, do you like the light or the dark? So that's pretty much where I'm going. Light or dark? Let's talk about the Scrappy Quilt Along blocks and the schedule, and I'll show you my fabrics, and I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm going to work on things. So you can print off the schedule that Wendy did, which will show you the block for the week, how many of them to make, what page it's on in the book. And we start out with the house on this snail, with they're carrying their little house with them. Oh, so cute. It is so cute. Let me first show you the whole quilt. Let me just pop the whole quilt up. Wendy did two layouts, one with the kitty cats and one without, because not everybody enjoys putting kitty cats on their quilts. So she did two formats for the sampler, which I think is really, really sweet of her to do that. And I'm doing the one with the kitty cats because secretly someday if I ever get another pet, I might try a kitty cat. I don't know, but I think they're sweet. So that's the version that I'll be doing. There's pictures on my website at the project page. And mine are done with the fabric line. She colored it for me so you can see the different colors on my website at the picture. Here is the quilt in the book, and we're doing 4 snail blocks, and then there will be next week 3 of the flowers from this same quilt for the sampler. And I just love the flowers. So I want to show you the blocks that are done already and then go through the fabric and show you what I'll pick for the 4th block. The line I'm going to use is this one, In the Garden, In the Garden by Corey Yoder. And it is bright and happy colors, really, really fun, beautiful, beautiful colors. So let me show you the snail blocks that are already done. I've got the turquoise block, and my friend Bobby helped me sew some of these so that I could, because I had no idea what my life would be like, and I still don't. So she's helped me sew some of these. And then there's the gray and the green one. Here we go. And there's a pinky red in this line, so the red with the floral and the more sort of solid, more solid looking. What I'm going to do for each of these sets, whichever it is, like this week is a snail, next week is a flower, I'm going to do one of the blocks using the lights from this line rather than the more solid color fabric, the solids, or the solid white as a background. Instead, I'm going to do one of these with a print. So let me open this bundle. Yes, we've got to finally open the bundle, and I will show you what the snail is I'm going to do for this 4th one. The combinations in this line are a group of yellows, a group of greens, a group of this sort of pretty intense turquoise. It's a nice, vibrant turquoise. A set of grays, and these are a darker gray, not a light gray. The pinky reds, these sort of peaches that are not real light. So they're medium peach, which I think is great. And then in the lights, we have some that are white based and then some that are like taupe. All right, so what I need to do is for my block, I'm going to put the taupe to the side here because they really are kind of a different colorway than white. And I may use them for backgrounds and I may not. So for my snail, I am using, and you can look at the diagram, the floral, peach floral, and the yellow with this print. So these two are what the snail is going to be made of. And now for the background of that, because this is the first one using, anything, there's a lot of light on the snail. So this, some of the blocks are not going to have as much of the light area as other blocks. So the snail has quite a bit, but I also do not want to lose the image of the snail. I don't want to have these. So maybe this is not the right one for this week. And who knows, maybe this will have a hard time. Actually, this would be good for the windows. Maybe. And then there's one that reads mostly solid. Then there's this sort of X's, little X's. There's a medium scale and a little bit smaller scale here. And then this one with the dots. So I think I'm going to go for this block. I am going to go with this guy here. Not the little tiny dot like here. That reads pretty much solid. I want to give it some oomph, in there. A little bit of something. So you can see here if I just lay it down, there's how the image is. It's just a little sprinkling. This is actually a really, really effective piece of fabric because it is random, so you're not dealing with a a repeat pattern or something that's, you know, real structured. It's nice and random. And I think with these two, it will, you know, you could definitely see a contrast. It's not going to blend in. And these pieces are all pretty large. The only thing is the snail antenna here, or eyeballs. Is that their eyeballs? Is that what the snail has? Is this eyeballs at the top? You don't want those to get too lost in the background. And that's where it could get tricky if you're using a print like this, which is basically that same print as the peach. You know, so that it you'd have to be careful where you cut it so that you didn't lose these into the design. So we'll go with this one. And to be honest, I'm not sewing that on the today for video today. My goal is to try and have 2 days a week, one for sewing, one for filming, and I was not able to do that this week, so I'm just have a filming day. And so I will sew that block up on another day before next week, and then I'll show you that one, plus I'll have the flower for next week. Filming and sewing all in one day for me, particularly on blocks that have more to them, is not a plan that's sustainable for me right now. So I am going to have to sort of look at how I'm doing things and adjust a little bit to sew prior to the filming, and then just show you the fabrics, and then the block will be already made, but not this week. This week we don't have that plan. Let me show you something else, because I will get you the snail after I make it. First, let me run this clip. I have done the mushrooms, cut them up, the parts for the mushroom jars. Let's take a look. For the sake of getting things going, this is the canning jar box, and I have all the parts for the actual block. So like, here's the bottom part, here's the above, like the jar part, and then the lids. And then I have, these are the sides that go in the lids, these are the sew and flips, like this right here. And so over here, see, now I can be doing this as I go. This is the extras. There's some extra mushrooms in case I decide either one doesn't look good or I want to make some more. But I'm going for 20 blocks, 4 by 5, I think. That will be what I do. So, okay. It is now here ready for me to do as I'm sewing other things. And I'm using this board then. So I decided, at first I thought I would just do all the bases and do the sew and flip corners and then put them together, but mentally it is much more satisfying for me to be able to have the full jar. So that means the sew and flips on the glass part, and then the ends on the lid of the jar. So here's one jar done. I'm working on the second jar, and I'm just using this design board. And this is a 10-inch design board for this project to keep track of it. And I have everything cut up in a basket and got it over there. So that is good. Okay, the last thing I want to show you today is the Valentine project. The Fat Quarter Shop usually puts out a Valentine project. They also do a Valentine mystery box, which I'll link you to the description. That is what the picture is up in the corner here, the mystery box. But this came in. They have a free download of the wall hanging size. Now you can get a kit for it. You can get, there's cross stitch versions. There's lap version, which is super, super darling because it has bunches of hearts all around it. But I am going to do the wall hanging size, which is 28 by 37, which will fit in my hallway by the door. So that is ready. I am going to start cutting this as well. When I'm getting this snail done, I'm also going to cut this and start working on it because Valentine's Day comes very fast. All right, it's time to make the snail block with the little house. It's so darn cute. And what I recommend is you do as much as you can of the snails this week. This may not be your primary project that you're working on, but then next week you do the flowers. That each week you do part of that week's, if not all of that week's, because they're not all going to be this much. This block has, I think, more to it than most because you have to do 4 of the snail blocks. But they're nice big shapes, and I can't wait to see your snail blocks. If you would, over on Facebook in the group, would you share the fabrics that you're going to be sewing with? Share a block if you get a block made. And also, would you talk about seeing the things, if you're going to talk about things on my video, would you just say you saw this on Pat's video? That'll help the people in the community that for some reason have totally missed that I have videos, or forget that I have videos, or only randomly watch my videos. It would be really helpful for me if people watch the videos. So that would be super, super great. I know some of you do that, and it always makes a difference. So, okay, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.